All right, page number 5. So it says write the piecewise function for the graph. You may leave the polynomial piece in factored form. So I'm just going to go ahead and write the function right next to the piece of it, and then we can just put it together. So right here we have a horizontal line, so that is a constant. So that is going to be y equals negative 8. So now right here we have a cubic function, but let's just go ahead and write what the factor is of it. So if it crosses at negative 2, that means it has a multiplicity of 1. So that means that that factor is going to be x plus 2. And then right here it touches at 1, so that means it has a multiplicity of 2. So that factor is going to be x minus 1 squared. And that's all I'm going to worry about for that piece of it. Now for my line, let's go ahead and find the slope first. So down 1, right 2, so my slope is negative 1/2. So this line is y equals negative 1/2 x. Let's find the y-intercepts. I'm going to go up 1, left 2, so that's at 5. So plus 5. So let's go ahead and write our piecewise function. All right. So we're going to have f of x equals, I'm going to have 3 pieces to it. So let's look at our constant first. So negative 8. And where does that occur? Well, that occurs whenever x is less than negative 2.5. I know it's less than because it's an open circle. So that's my first piece. Second one, let's go ahead and do my, my cubic function. So this next one, I'm going to leave it in factored form. So I have x plus 2, x minus 1 squared. And that occurs between, let's go ahead, I'm going to take my highlighters just so we can look exactly where that occurs. So that occurs between negative 2.5 and 2. It includes the negative 2.5, so that means x is going to be greater than or equal to negative 2.5, and x is going to be less than 2. And my last piece is my linear function. So I have negative 1/2 x plus 5, and that occurs between 2 and 6. So x is going to be greater than 2, because it's an open circle, and less than or equal to 6. There we have it. There we have it. Now we're going to state the domain and the range of the function. So if we look at our function, let's go ahead for domain. Let's start going left to right. So domain. So let's see, starting, let's go up, starts at from negative infinity. So negative infinity, and where does it go to? Let's see. It's defined at negative 2.5, but is not defined at 2. So negative infinity to 2, union 2 to 6. Now for my range, where's the lowest point? The lowest point is at negative 8. It is defined at negative 8 because of the line. So negative 8 negative 8 to negative 8 if we're writing this in interval notation. Oops, I should give it a bracket. else? Let's see, -6 all the way to 4, and it is defined at 4, so it gets a bracket, and it is defined at -6, so it gets a bracket. The answer key that's posted on Blackboard, that I just realized is a mistake. So -6 to 4. Write the intervals where f of x is increasing, decreasing, and constant. So let's first look at increasing. So I'm going to highlight this in yellow. So let's do green. So it's increasing. Remember, we always do intervals in terms of x from -2.5 to 1, and then also 1 to 2. So -2.5 to 1 and 1 to 2. See if I can remember that. So it is increasing. -2.5. Did I say -1? Yes, -1. And 1 to 2. Remember, we always do intervals with parentheses. And then it is decreasing. We'll go ahead and highlight that in blue. So here it's decreasing from -1 to 1 and from 2 to 6. -1 to 1, 2 to 6. All right, so it's decreasing from -1 to 1 and 2 to 6. And then it is constant from, what is that, -infinity to -2.5. And I'm running out of room. Perfect. Lastly, it asks you, for what intervals is f of x greater than 0? So where is y greater than 0? Well, y is greater than 0 from -2 to 6. So -2 to 6. And then what are the zeros of the function? So zeros of the function, let's just look. Where is it crossing or touching the y-axis? So at -2 and at 1. So those are my zeros. Oh dear. Hide. Sorry, technical difficulties. There we go. Oh, okay. So what was I saying? Zeros. -2 and 1. All right, perfect. Now for number 14. What is the degree of the polynomial? Let's go ahead and add up the exponents. So 2 plus 3 plus 1. So that would be 6. What is the leading coefficient? When I multiply this all out, so let's see, when you multiply it all out, you will get, let's see, 3q 27. But really, if you look right here, this is 1. 3 times 3 times 3, because that's a multiplicity of 3, that's 27. What is the maximum number of turns? That would be 1 less than the degree, so that's 5. And that wraps up page number